today, Honiara City Council cracks down on illegal taxis. A new 9.5 million Australian dollar agriculture project aims to strengthen productivity and climate resilience. Climate change and child malnutrition in Solomon Islands a real concern. And in sports, women's football eyes Prime Minister's Cup in November. Hello and welcome. I'm Lisa Ossifello. First up in Parliament today, proceedings continued with the Public Service Bill 2025 and concluded at Clause 102 of the bill under consideration. A total of 32 clauses remain to be deliberated upon when the House resumes tomorrow, Friday, the 24th of October 2025. The Ministry of Finance and Treasury has confirmed that technical issues with the new banking interface system has delayed payroll payments for civil servants. The transition to the new system resulted in salaries earmarked for BSP accounts being held up, while ANZ and Breadbank account holders received their payments successfully. The Ministry of Finance and Treasury has assured affected civil servants that the issue is not related to cash flow problems, but rather a banking system glitch. According to the facilitating bank, delayed payments will be processed by Friday, October 24th. The Ministry of Finance and Treasury apologises for the inconvenience caused and appreciates understanding of affected civil servants. The Honiara City Council has issued a warning to taxi owners using private yellow number plate registration, saying the practice breaches the council's business licence ordinance. Honiara City Council's Director, Robert Madeo, says all taxis must be properly registered and display white public vehicle plates. He says operating without them is illegal and unfair to licensed operators. Offenders could face court action, fines, or have their vehicles impounded. Madeo says ignorance of the law will not be accepted as an excuse. The council is planning random spot checks across Honiara to identify illegal taxis. Madeo also warned that no one will be exempt from the law, including relatives or close associates of officials.
Following information and there's all evidences of what the taxis, especially public service vehicles, where today you got to so change him now number taxi vehicle number plates into private vehicle cars, yeah. So and then what I use him also taxi information from regarding observations and one or two evidence on board. So me like for when in general public and give him this talk, especially you mean vehicle owners, car owners, or taxis especially, when you run in taxi service, please you must comply with him now for la law below you mean law city council business license. You must obtain before you operate him within Honiara City. So him that one now him come up, him start for come up too much. So me must tell me law enforcement Honiara City Council by him step up. I'm already aware of this, and me hola working law this one that by me hola doing surprise operations within the city anytime for check him too or taxi basis where you got him no city and where you register law here. Me hola aware already law what is happening.
Taxi owners are urged to comply with regulations to ensure safe and legal operations. The Honiara City Council says it remains committed to maintaining safe and lawful taxi services in the city.
Aware in public number two, especially those of us where you doing business, vehicle public service vehicles. Please no more, you must comply with the laws and the ordinances blows on your city where I'm stop finish for regulating you because such this kind attitude or practice you do I'm wrong, I'm illegal, yeah. We know this is a city and I'm got ordinance for regulating, so that is why me fala like for aware him and tell him good way me people blame me where him stop inside the city. Please comply with him na laws law city, yeah. Time him try to operate him any business within the city.
A new 3-year agriculture initiative valued at 9.5 million Australian dollars, called the Solomon Islands Climate Resilient Agriculture Development Program, has been launched in Solomon Islands. The Australian-funded program aims to strengthen agricultural productivity, resilience, and inclusivity amidst growing climate risks. Agriculture supports more than 85% of the country's rural population and remains vital to food security, livelihoods, and economic growth. The consultation launch, held today, Thursday, brought together more than 50 stakeholders and partners to share ideas on improving the initiative and ensuring broad participation. Permanent Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock, Samson Viulu, described the project as a major achievement for the agriculture and livestock sectors.
Also, example, stack out past project siya, you may try for doing a lot of things, a lot of different places or different provinces blame me. So in the end, impact blockade project and very small or minimal na lo life lo people blame lo rural areas. So what you may try for doing today is how best now by me implementing this for a new initiative. Thanks to the people of Australia for their generosity, what give him 9.5 million AUD for the next 3 years. How best na ba him using that fala selen for building up na livelihood blow people blaming, improving food security block and at the same time providing economic livelihood na for these people lokat no depend lo others more. But okat save enim sufficient income for supporting livelihood and families blocked, communities blocked, for example, send them beginning law schools or even using that for selen for reinvestment or other economic activities whereby generating more selen. Also, so have not this fella even today.
This partnership initiative aims to boost local investment and ensure everyone benefits from the country's economic growth, particularly in agriculture.
You may need to focus more aside of community agriculture and rural development. So this one him a little bit extra salen, him no staka, but him a little bit more. Him 50 million go SPD from next year, go cast in 2029. But hopefully if you demonstrate him success and demonstrate them other ways for doing work where him achieving results quick time and where community serve good, hana for changing lives blogeta with them help blow government and blow Aussie. Then by you may attract them more salen. And by you may attract them, you may have access him grants or some Pacific Resilient Fund and other grants. So by you may must first focus on success. What now success how now him look him, how now you may sarcas him. That's why me fella bring him 50 or 55 people from the highest levels of agriculture and experience blogeta. Lo here, lo Honiara for Toksave side lo hana for designing this fella program.
Following the consultation, the implementation phase is expected to begin next year. The Honiara City Council, under law enforcement, once again reminds bus operators to remain consistent with the amended Honiara City Council Regulation of Business Licence, Ordinance 2011, updated in 2024 to regulate bus operations. The ordinance sets bus fares at $3 for adults and $2 for children on specified routes. Bus operators must comply with licence conditions, submit driver and conductor details, or face penalties for violations. Law Enforcement Director Robert Madeo says that these reminders are very urgent and needs cooperation.
At the moment, bus fares below Yumilo City have only $3 below adult and $2 below beginning. Have no change. And for informing public too, there are cases in court where our buses are fined big too much. Some will even go pressing for short route. And even bus fare $5 where you may charge him low city. There are some cases low court yet. Court now by deciding the charge, the fines or whatever penalty. So enforcement, me work strong it. I'm no meaning me follow back down or you follow so truth or whatever. Like you look him this today, I may look him several buses, so yeah, we will detain him from so truth.
Director Madeo says that this advice aims to ensure fair, safe and organized public transport in Honiara.
So encouraging owners and bus conductors and drivers, as me always reminding me, please, you work a good and work a straight follow when I'm not locally you me him tell him about him. You must try to make him place blame, city blame me, and more orderly. Especially where you say we meal public, yeah, kind of something else.
Nearly 1 in 3 children in Solomon Islands suffer from stunted growth due to chronic malnutrition as climate-induced disasters like cyclones and flood disrupt food supplies and livelihoods. The report from Save the Children warns that climate change is worsening child malnutrition in the country. Save the Children stresses the urgent need to address the linked climate and nutrition crisis to safeguard children's health and development across the 9 provinces. Speaking to Tavuli News, Save the Children Solomon Islands Country Director said the report clearly shows the need to prioritize children's nutrition.
The impact of the climate crisis on the nutrition status of children and mothers is really something that hasn't historically been well understood. And the reality is that those 2 crises are very intertwined. And the climate crisis is really disrupting food systems and making it much more difficult on the influence on for example, salination of fields, everybody knows that. That has huge impact on the ability of farmers to grow food, and that's causing onward impact. Also things like negative impact on water systems that really prevent children and families from being able to have sanitation, which leads to more diarrhea and other diseases, which increases the risk of nutrition impact and then these lifelong consequences that we reiterated. And I think the challenge is the climate crisis is, of course, very significant and wide-ranging, and there are many things that we need to be doing, but historically there hasn't been very much focus on the impact and the interconnection between child nutrition and the climate crisis. And this is what Save the Children is trying to raise as an issue that all of us need to really be working on.
The report also recommends urgent actions and calls for a better understanding of the climate crisis, impacts on child and maternal nutrition.
Yeah, well, the clock is ticking. I think we all know the clock is ticking for all of us, but for children in particular, every time we delay ensuring that a child isn't stunted, the impacts on that for the rest of their lives as they grow up, they're going to have negative health and impact on their cognition and their ability to actually learn and grow up to be a productive member of society. And every day that we prevent addressing this problem, the more children are going to be impacted. And so along with the climate crisis, everyone is aware of the clock ticking there. We have to be thinking about the impact that it's having on children, especially very young children. The first 1,000 days of a child's life is the absolute most critical period. Sometimes we don't really realize how important it is for very young children to receive this nutritional support. That's where it is, and that's where we really are encouraging all actors in the climate crisis to be thinking through what are the steps and approaches that we can take to incorporate nutrition.
Inside the report, the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock acknowledges these challenges and supports calls for climate-resilient farming and cross-sector action to protect food security and child nutrition. The Apune Para Ha'amora Natural Resources Association is leading a mangrove rehabilitation initiative under its 2021-2035 plan to restore mangrove forests damaged by human activity and climate change. Now, the program focuses on collecting healthy mangrove seedlings and germinating them in a controlled nursery before replanting them in suitable coastal areas. This process helps boost biodiversity and strengthen coastal ecosystems.
Currently, we are working with them 10 different tribes within Maramasike patches for encouraging water for look after them now, their portion of mangrove, and also maintain him and conserve him as well. And the feedback we are receiving is Ogata so happy about this opportunity that Ogata come together as a group and as a tribe for conserving now the mangrove, and also Ogata looking the importance of maintaining that resources where, as me told earlier, they will also, their future generations will also enjoy the same resources now or enjoy. But I think the most important thing where I would give him as a feedback is having this opportunity to collaborate on this project.
Local communities along the Maramasike Passage are also being involved in the effort to protect shorelines, reduce storm impacts and ensure the sustainable use of marine resources for future livelihoods.
For example, Maramasike mangrove, or yes, hemi the largest mangrove law biodiversity law country, and him very important for this country in terms of providing now breeding site for fish, and also hemi one way the carbon sequence or hem's absolute carbon, where currently we have this climate change issues we face him now. Mangrove him help for carbon sequence, yeah, him absorbing carbon a lot. So I think that is in itself very significant for community, but also for the country.
And moving on now to regional news, the United Liberation Movement for West Papua says over a dozen civilians were killed by Indonesian forces in recent operations, alleging torture and rape. Indonesia denies the claim, saying 14 militants were killed. Activists say violence has worsened under President Subianto. A video from Jayapura school shows children crying after police tear gassed nearby rioters. Human Rights Watch says Papuan children face harsher treatment. Penny Wenda accused Pacific nations of ignoring West Papua's long-running conflict. Pacific health leaders meeting in Fiji say stronger alcohol and tobacco control is key to fighting non-communicable diseases. World Health Organization says alcohol causes 1 death every minute in the region, urging higher taxes and tighter marketing rules. Tobacco use and vaping amongst youth also remain major concerns. Poor oral health linked to these habits is rising across the Pacific. The meeting will end with a new 5-year health strategy for the Western Pacific.